Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Foundation Free webcast series. My name is Patrick Smith. I'm a regional sales manager here over at Foundation. And for today's webinar, we are going to go through some of the advantages of construction-specific software, particularly the accounting and project management side of things. So this will be very casual, informative, no interaction on your part in the terms of audio. You'll be able to hear me. I can't hear you. Everybody's in listen-only mode. With that in mind, there is a little chat section over in the GoToMeeting control panel. So if anybody does have any questions, you can just kind of fire them into that little question pane, and then I can address those a little bit later toward the end of the presentation. So like I said, very general overview today. I'm just going to point out a few specifics on construction specific accounting software and project management software. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and open up my main menu here. So for those of you unfamiliar with Foundation, I'm really doing three things here. We've got the full accounting system, which we consider the hub. We've got mobile timekeeping apps for field time entry, and then we've got a project management tool that we call Project HQ that's used for field document control, RFIs and submittals and field logs and that type of thing. So we'll kind of bounce around to different areas today. Figure about a half an hour for the presentation, give or take. And what we normally do once we're done here is anybody that wants to take a closer look at the program, just get in touch. We'll schedule more of like an online one-on-one type thing with you. Again, for anybody that wants to dig a little bit deeper. Otherwise, again, this will be a pretty good overview on who we are and what we do. So I'm going to start with the accounting piece here. So Foundation, we've got these base modules up on this top section. These are all the core accounting modules. We've got these additional modules here in the middle. These are optional, just depends on the type of construction that everybody does out there. You know, civil contractors, for example, would use the equipment module, whereas your mechanical electrical plumbers will use the inventory module, service dispatch as well. So again, we've got some options here just depending on the type of work that you do as a company, as a contractor. Now, project control, we do have project management scheduling. These modules we're going to discontinue here pretty quick. I mentioned Project HQ. That's more of our web-based platform for the project management functionality, which feeds directly into Foundation. So we'll focus more on the up-to-date Project HQ versus spending any time with these older modules. Now, document imaging, that is the electronic filing cabinet, anybody that's looking to store images within the program. And then we've got some dashboard reporting as well. So I'm going to start with this executive dashboard. This will give everybody out there a pretty good idea of output, what you can get out of the system in terms of reporting. So, you know, with this being specific to construction functionality and the advantage of this is always first and foremost. So many of our users come off of QuickBooks, generic type software. Other users come off of like older legacy type systems, but you know, kind of with the QuickBooks user in mind, everything's manual. There's all kinds of spreadsheets and manual reports, no real true job costing. So that's where we'd sort of step in as that replacement. All of the accounting transactions feed directly into these respective reports. So this is all live data. Now, the gist behind it is, if we look on the left here, we're going to see totals for all of our active jobs. So in this example, I'm running about 9 million in active jobs or contracts. And it shows that I've estimated or budgeted about 7.5 in terms of my cost estimate. By way of those numbers, here's my estimated gross profit. Then able to see real world numbers. Hey, what have we billed against those contracts? What have these jobs truly cost us? What is our actual gross profit? So totals on the left, and then each job over here on the right that account for those totals. Now this is all about drilling down into greater and greater detail, including into the WIP schedule. So if I click this little button that says View Report, it's going to take all these jobs, lay them out into the WIP schedule to show percentage of completion, to calculate if the job is overbilled or underbilled. So the WIP, the bonding reports, the over-under billing, this is our wheelhouse. One of the main reasons that QuickBooks users would come our way, getting out of that generic spreadsheet type environment and into more automated reporting. Now from here, okay, there's a job I want to look into a little bit further. We click that job, and it drills down into a summary of that specific job. Contract amount, what we've billed against it. Estimated cost, actual cost. You can see change orders against that original contract, percentage of completion, commitments for outstanding purchase orders, subcontract agreements. So this is a little snapshot of that single job that we clicked into. Now, anything that's blue, that means we can keep digging further. Anybody out there that's looking to cost code their jobs? Okay, I've got this estimated cost $449, this actual cost of $197. If I click this link that says job cost detail, here's the breakdown of all those different cost codes that account for that estimated versus that actual. Now, cost codes in Foundation, they're customizable, they're unlimited. These are only examples that I happen to use here. For anybody that does come on board with us, we help them build that list out, or for anybody that already has a list of codes that they're currently using, we could just import them just to save that setup time. So they are customizable based on the type of work that you do, and then within each code, you're breaking it down further. Labor for that code, material, subcontract, equipment, burden. These in Foundation we call cost classes. Now, we've got plenty of clients that don't need this code level. They're just tracking total labor for that job, total material costs for that job. But with the coding in mind, you can see the breakdown of each code for those that do need the detailed coding. Now, regardless of that, ultimately, there's the ability to drill into the transaction level. So this 4,200 in labor as an example, if I click labor, that shows each transaction that fed in from the payroll module that accounts for labor within that code, within that job. So we started on that very very summarized level, seeing totals, drilling down into this granular level to see all these transactions. Now, this is an example of payroll with the labor cost. If I go back a screen and go to material, now you can see in the case of these material transactions, these are invoices that came out of accounts payable. If I click either transaction number, here's the detail of that respective AP invoice. And then with the document imaging in mind, for those that are scanning or just taking email attachments from your vendors that email your invoices over email, you click this little paperclip icon, and that would allow the user to drill into the scanned image of that material invoice or whatever type of transaction it happens to be. So in Foundation, job costing, the dashboard that we're seeing here, it's a bucket that's gathering data, still doing your day-to-day accounting entries on the front end. In this case, let the numbers feed in, get more of that real-time data instead of having to transpose those numbers into spreadsheets or third-party software. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to point out a couple other things. We'll sort of backtrack to some of the daily functionality type items. So starting with payroll, anybody out there that is running complex payroll, if there's union contractors out there, prevailing wage contractors, we are an attractive option for those complex payrolls. That's really what our payroll module is designed for, meaning I can have an employee, let's say I'm a prevailing wage contractor, and I send this employee to a prevailing wage job, maybe on that job for a couple hours, put them on a different prevailing wage job, maybe another couple hours, let's go to a non-prevailing wage job, another few hours, whatever the breakdown is. You'll see in this example, for that non-prevailing wage job, it's paying Rick Stevens here $18 an hour, but when Rick's working prevailing wage, then we've got those prevailing wage scales, so it'll pay him the higher rate. The fringe in our system is calculated as well. Again, anybody out there that's union, we can help you build the unions into the system with all those different labor trades, pay rates, benefits, deductions, and fringes. So we really do cater to the complex payroll, very common in the construction world, obviously, and all of that data that's entered into payroll would feed into the respective reports. Certified payroll is a big one here. Users can submit certified payroll electronically using services like EMARS, LCP Tracker. So we've got these formats built into our system. You can just upload to the respective website, like LCP Tracker, for example. Anybody out there that's looking to print certified payroll, the electronic becoming more and more common here, but anybody that needs a printed copy, This you could print right onto a blank sheet of paper out of our system as well. So again, going back to the generic software versus construction software, this here automated process generates these reports automatically. We'll do the signature page as well. And we do have, like we saw on the electronic side of things, number of formats, a ton of different formats here for the printed certified options as well. So anybody out there that maybe works in a state that has their own format, we've got them built into the system as needed. So those very much automated. Minority compliance, another example here, things that can be submitted electronically or printed. And just to give you all a peek here, anybody that needs minority compliance, EEO reports, these would also go right out of our system, either electronically or, again, onto a blank piece of paper. So just basic functionality, things that are just built right into our system for those to use as needed. All right, and then one last thing here, I mentioned union. We do have the union reports built in here, so anybody that is a union contractor, just know the rates, the fringes, deductions automate in terms of the calculations, and then the reports automatically generated as well. Okay, so payroll, again, cater to the complex payroll. Another thing I like to point out during these webinars with the construction-specific functionality in mind, AIA billings, built right into our system, no third-party software, no spreadsheets. Again, you're going to hear me repeat spreadsheet about another 100 times here. You take those out of the equation. So when you're creating a schedule of value billing, all of the information on this general tab is what goes to the front page to the G702. And then on the billing tab, you can see the schedule of value breakdown. Now in this example, I'm on application number 1, haven't billed for this job yet. When you're ready to bill by the dollar amount, calculates the percentage, or bill by the percentage, and it calculates the dollars. Retainage is also something that we calculate automatically when the job is set up. You can indicate the retainage percentage on that job. It would default in, pull that percentage from the job, calculate accordingly. Now, when the job is billed, that retainage is held separate, and I'll show you a little example here. I've got in my favorites menu on the left here, I've got a shortcut to my aging. So when a billing is created in the system, on the aging, 30, 60, 90, separate column for retainage. So it's a true retainage process here, doesn't require a separate entry, doesn't show as that current due balance for the retainage, it doesn't goof up the aging, it knows to keep it separate on its own on the aging, keep the reports professional looking without a bunch of current due numbers that truly are not current due. Now back to the AIA, once these numbers are in, we can go ahead and save it. And then just like we saw a couple seconds ago with certified payroll, this also would generate straight out of the system. So the front page and then the continuation as well. And the really neat part about this is users can post directly from here. So posting from the AIA auto-generates the receivable, gets it onto the aging, hangs onto that retainage separate without that separate entry, updates your GL, updates that job revenue as well. So not only is that invoice on the aging immediately with that retention held separate, GL is updated, job revenue is updated. We can run a job report, run a financial, run the dashboard that we saw earlier. All those numbers would show up immediately without any kind of second, third, fourth entries. All right, so that's just a few items: job costing, certified payroll, AIAs. Those are always priority items that users are looking for when they do come our way. Now, of course, there's a lot of other things that we could cover on the accounting side of things. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to hop over to the project management piece. We'll go through that a bit. We can then leave it open to questions. And again, anybody that wants to dig deeper, we'll get you on the calendar for a follow-up. So, Project HQ. There's really 3 main components to this. So this is the project management platform. We do have a reporting component in here. So users have the ability to run change order logs, commitments, daily reports, job reports. So the users that are out in the field, project managers typically that are using Project HQ, they don't need to be in the accounting system to run their reports. They don't need to have a login to the accounting system to get to their data. With this being directly connected to Foundation, it's all live data. They can run reports through the Project HQ app as opposed to getting into the true accounting program to get to those numbers. So that's one thing to point out, is the ability to run job reports. The other thing is scheduling. So the scheduling component here, and this can be viewed on a daily, a weekly, a monthly, quarterly basis. So I like to show the daily view here. So this scheduling component, really the thought behind this is, okay, I've got X amount of active jobs, and for job number 12, as an example, we're doing clearing in the morning and we're doing site prep in the afternoon. So users have the ability to schedule for active jobs any tasks that they're going to perform that day. And then within that task, we can allocate resources. So if I open up my mobilization task for job number 1, we have on this resources tab the ability to add employees, to add equipment items for those that own equipment. If I want to add another employee, I select that employee, I add them in. Now in this example, it's telling me we have a schedule conflict. So that tells us, hey, Michael that we're trying to schedule on this job, he's already allocated to a different job. We've got to figure out what's going on here. So this can be done as far into advance as you'd like. A couple weeks out, let's get our schedules together. Let's make sure we've got the right people going to the right place. And with that in mind, users are able to change this view to see all of the employees and what they're scheduled for. So timeline schedule, you could see what the timeline duration is for the job and what tasks we have to perform that particular day. Then we've got the resource allocation, so we know where our employees are and where our equipment items are. And with the employees in mind, we do have a notification system where users that are utilizing Project HQ can set triggers where, let's say you want each employee to receive either an email or a text message automatically, maybe the day before the job. So a lot of users out there, hey, let's schedule this notification so each employee gets a text message on Sunday evening telling them where to go on Monday morning, where the job is located, what they're responsible for. So it just eliminates the manual communication between the project manager and the / supervisor and the employees, where you can just schedule them here and it'll tell them where to go. All right, so we've got the reporting capabilities, we've got the scheduling capabilities, and then really what Project HQ is ultimately designed for is document control. So from my little home screen dashboard, I can see that I'm managing 5 projects and I've got X amount of documents that are overdue, RFIs, change orders, purchase orders, submittals. Now, if I tap or click into one of my jobs here, then it drills down into a dashboard of that specific job. So it shows us all of our logs for the day. We've got our project schedule. Again, you can see any tasks you're performing, who's responsible, who's scheduled for those tasks. Now on the little menu pane on the left here, if I click into work management, we've got a few different options here. This is your day-to-day activity. Okay, do we have any action items? Action items can be scheduled for yourself or they could be scheduled for another user. So if I want to see all of the team action items, who's responsible for what, I've got a number of action items for myself, and I've got one for maybe my assistant PM, Michael, who has to go schedule a meeting on this day. So it's just there to see what's floating around out there, what needs to be taken care of, and then complete those action items as needed. It would then tell you that that item's been completed. The daily logs we talked about before. We saw that right on the home screen on the dashboard. This is where a user could see, okay, I've got some equipment entry log entries here. I've got my labor logs. I've got my photo logs, weather logs. So if you want to take a look at those photos, for example, here's pictures that my crew has taken on that job site. We can put some notes in, just give a little indication of why we want to upload that picture. If I go back to the daily logs here, again, getting into the labor, I can see, okay, I've got 40 hours logged today, 5 employees, and I can then see each employee, which task they're performing. Now, for those that use our Foundation mobile timekeeping app, those numbers would feed in from the mobile app into Project HQ to populate those logs, and then in turn feed over to Foundation to get those time cards into the accounting system. Documents, RFIs, submittals, those are standard documents. We also have user-defined documents. Anything that anyone wants to track in here that's maybe not a standard RFI, standard submittal. These are my examples. These are all customizable. So this would be something like, okay, I sent an RFI on this day. It's been submitted. This one's been canceled. I can tap into the RFI itself to see the reason for the RFI, who it was sent to, what's the question, is it going to impact the cost of this job, is it going to impact the schedule of this job. So this is there to create these documents like the RFIs. It's also there to track correspondence related to an RFI or a submittal, with emails being sent and emails being received, phone calls, things of that nature. So again, this is there to track the documents and manage all the activity related to each one of those documents. We've got punch lists as well. So we've got a building walkthrough, and then we have multiple items on that walkthrough. We can go through and create the punch list, automatically indicate what was finished, what was not finished. And then you'll see here on this cost management tab, that's where we can see the budget for the job, change orders for the job, commitments for the job. So if I tap into my change orders, for example, I can see I've got a request for change that's open. I've got actual change orders. One's open, that's overdue. So users have the ability to create a change order request, convert that to the formal change order, which then in turn feeds into Foundation, updates the contract value, updates the WIP schedule, gets all those numbers in order. And then I mentioned the commitments, the POs, the subcontracts. These can be issued by way of the project management, Project HQ as well. And then lastly, with HQ in mind, we do have a couple items here under collaboration. I mentioned the mailbox earlier, so any kind of emails being sent and received would get logged into Project HQ. And then we also have integrations with Dropbox, Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive. Anybody that's file sharing, we can upload, we can download directly into Project HQ, just so those Dropbox files, for example, don't have to be maintained outside of the project management tool. So really the attractive part about this is it's tied into the accounting. It's not its own thing. It's not a third-party product. Yeah, this is all built into the system. This all talks to one another behind the scenes. So again, we've got the mobile timekeeping. We've got Project HQ here for the project management, and then we've got the Foundation accounting system itself that everything ends up feeding into. Okay. Bit of a crash course. I'm going to pop over, see if we have any questions. We'll address those real quick, and then I'll let you folks get back to your day here. All right, so I do see a question, and I get this one all the time. The question is Foundation cloud-based? And the answer to that is yes. So we host Foundation. We do everything in-house over here. Pretty early to the cloud game, 10, 12 years into it at this point. And that's what everybody's looking for. So there's no server that's needed. We perform data backups and updates. It's all hosted on our side. So yeah, very much a cloud system that can be accessed as long as you've got internet connectivity. All right, another question. Is there any export-import required to get to the data from one place to the other? The answer to that is no. So again, this is all behind the scenes connectivity here. The mobile app feeds into Project HQ and into Foundation. So yeah, there's just not an export import like you'd have to do with a third party. You know, anybody out there that's using a third party mobile timekeeping system, for example, yeah, we can work with it's exports, imports, but using our software, yeah, if you use us for everything, then it all just talks to one another. All right, perfect. Yeah, one more to touch on real quick here. So this is related to the service dispatch module. The question is, So I mentioned the remote timekeeping for the Foundation Mobile. The question is, can work orders be accessed remotely as well? And the answer to that is also yes. So we do have a service work order component of Foundation Mobile where the dispatch, whoever's running dispatches, they can create the work order, schedule it to the technician. Technician can then access that work order by way of the app, complete it, indicate how many hours were spent, any kind of materials that were used, capture a signature on the part of the customer, which would then feed back into Foundation as a completed work order, and then a billing can be generated automatically off that completed work order. All right. Yeah, that's about it. Not a ton of questions today. So yeah, everybody's going to get a recording of this webinar. So you'll see that come through probably in the next couple of days for anybody that is on the call here. So keep an eye out for that. And like I said, if anybody has questions specifically, anybody that wants to take a closer look, my name's Patrick. You can just call in. You can ask for me. And then, yeah, we can, again, dig a little bit deeper here if anybody wants to take a closer look. Otherwise, yeah, I appreciate everybody's time. I'll let you get back to your day here. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day, and give me a call if you need anything. Thanks again. Take care.